Sherron Turner had done the thing they tell you to do. She was afraid of the man in her life, and she did not stay silent about it. She went to a court and she asked for protection. She was granted a protective order, a legal document with his name on it, meant to keep him away from her. On paper, the system already knew that this man was a danger to her. It was written down, it was official, and none of it saved her life. In the spring of 2025, in Suitland, Maryland, Sherron Turner was killed by the very man she had tried to protect herself from. And what he did with her body afterward is the kind of detail that stays with you. He wrapped her in plastic, and then he covered her in concrete, sealing her away inside the very home where she should have been safe. This is a story about a warning that was ignored, and the woman who deserved to be protected and was not. Let us start with Sherron. Sherron Turner was 44 years old. She lived in Suitland in Prince George's County, Maryland, just outside Washington. She was a woman with a life and a community and people who cared about her. Like so many victims in these stories, she was not a headline or a case number to the people who knew her. She was simply Sherron. She was also in a relationship with a man named McClanahan, and that relationship, by the time it ended, had become a dangerous one. The warning signs, looking back, were not hidden. They were out in the open for anyone paying attention. Neighbors would later describe hearing the couple arguing, not once, not as a rare event, but regularly. Some described hearing them fight weekend after weekend, the kind of ongoing conflict that the people living nearby could not help but notice. To the outside world, this was clearly a relationship in trouble, and more than that, a relationship with an edge of danger to it. There is a painful question buried in that detail. If the neighbors could hear it, weekend after weekend, then the danger was never truly a secret. It was audible, right through the walls. And yet, as is so often the case, hearing is not the same as being able to stop it. Neighbors may not know how serious it really is. They may not know what to do, or they may fear that stepping in will only make things worse. Or they may quietly assume that someone else, somewhere, will handle it. The signs of what was coming were there, in the open air of that neighborhood, long before the concrete was ever poured. That is one of the hardest things about cases like this one. The warning is so often present, and so often goes unanswered, until the day it is too late to matter. And it was not only the neighbors who saw it, the court record saw it too. There was a documented history of domestic violence between them, and Sherron had taken the most serious formal step available to her. She had obtained a protective order against McClanahan. Think about what that means. A protective order is not something a person seeks lightly. It is a public, legal declaration that you are afraid of someone, that you believe they may hurt you, and that you are asking the authorities to stand between you and them. Sherron Turner had looked at her own situation clearly, recognized the threat, and done everything she was supposed to do to guard against it. The tragedy of this case is that all of that foresight, all of that courage, was not enough to stop what came next. There is a grim and well-documented truth about abusive relationships that this case reflects. The most dangerous moment for a victim is very often the moment they try to pull away, or the moment they take a stand. When an abuser senses that they are losing control, that the person they have been controlling is slipping out of their grasp or fighting back, the danger can rise sharply rather than fade. A protective order, as important as it is a legal boundary, not a physical wall. It works when it is respected and enforced. It offers far less against a person who has already decided, somewhere inside themselves, that the rules simply do not apply to them. Sherron did the right thing and the brave thing. The failure that followed was not hers. In the spring of 2025, the fear that Sherron had tried to protect herself from became real. McClanahan killed her. The medical examiner would determine that Sherron Turner died from blunt force trauma. This was not a distant, mysterious death. It was a violent one, at close range, at the hands of the man a court had already been asked to keep away from her. And then McClanahan made the choice that so many killers in these stories make. Rather than face what he had done, he set about trying to hide it, trying to make Sherron disappear. But he did not take her far away or bury her in some remote place. He concealed her right there, in the home. He wrapped her body in plastic, and then he covered her, at least in part, in concrete. He tried to entomb her where she lay, to seal the truth under a hard gray shell, and simply carry on as though she had never been there at all. There is something uniquely cold about that particular choice. Pouring concrete over a person is not the act of a moment of panic. It requires materials. It requires time. It requires a certain steady, deliberate resolve to see it through. It is the act of someone trying not merely to hide a body, but to erase it, to turn a living, breathing woman into part of the floor, a problem to be paved over and never spoken of again. In a relationship that had been defined by control, it was the final and most total act of control imaginable. An attempt to make Sherron vanish entirely, on his terms, as though her life had been his to end and then to bury. For a short time, Sherron was missing to the outside world, but not for long. On the 24th of April, 2025, police in Prince George's County came to the home to carry out a welfare check. That is the term for it when officers go to make sure someone is all right, usually because a friend or a family member or a neighbor has grown worried and reported that something seems wrong. What those officers found inside was a scene of horror. There, wrapped in plastic and partially covered in concrete, was the body of Sherron Turner. The attempt to hide her, to seal her away and erase what had happened, had failed. She had been found. A welfare check exists because people care, because someone, somewhere, noticed that Sherron was not where she should be and refused to simply let it go. That instinct, that unwillingness to look away, is often the thin line between a murder that is discovered and one that is not. It is worth pausing on that. Somewhere in Sherron's life, there were people who felt her absence as something wrong, a gap where she should have been, a silence that did not sit right. And because at least one of them cared enough to raise the alarm, rather than assume the worst had a simpler explanation, officers went to that door. Without that, without a single worried person refusing to shrug it off, Sherron might have remained sealed in that concrete far longer, and the man who put her there might have had far more time to shape a story about where she had gone. Michael McClanahan was arrested and charged in connection with Sherron's death. The case against him did not rest on guesswork. The history of domestic violence was on the record. The protective order was on the record. The neighbors had heard the fighting, and Sherron's body, hidden in the home in that terrible way, told the rest of the story. This was not a stranger crime or a random act. It was the final, fatal chapter of an abusive relationship that everyone close to it could see was dangerous. In July of 2026, more than a year after Sherron's body was discovered, Michael McClanahan was convicted. A jury found him guilty of second-degree murder and also guilty of disposing of a body in an unauthorized place for the concealment in concrete. He now faces the likelihood of decades behind bars for what he did to her. That second charge matters, and it is worth understanding why it exists. The law does not treat the hiding of a body as a minor detail, an afterthought to the killing itself. It is its own crime, because concealing a victim is an act aimed directly at the people left behind and at the truth. It denies a family the chance to lay their loved one to rest. It buys the killer time to lie, and it treats a human being as something to be disposed of. In Sherron's case, the concrete was not just how he tried to escape justice. It was, in the eyes of the court, a separate wrong done to her, on top of taking her life. For those who love Sherron, no verdict could undo the loss or answer the question that hangs over every case like this one. How was this allowed to happen when so many people saw it coming? Now sit with what this case really is. because it is about more than one man and one crime. The murder of Sherron Turner is a story that plays out in different forms far too often. A woman in an abusive relationship recognizes the danger she is in. She does not stay silent. She reaches out. She gets a protective order. She does, in other words, everything she is told to do to keep herself safe. And still, it is not enough, because a piece of paper cannot physically stand between a person and someone determined to hurt them. That is not a reason to lose hope, and it is not a reason to stop seeking protection. The protective order, the reports, the record, all of it mattered in the end. It is part of what made the case against her killer so clear. But it is a hard and honest truth that the systems meant to protect people do not always succeed in time, and that the warning signs in cases like this are so often visible long before the worst happens. The concrete he poured over her tells its own story too. It was an act of pure denial, an attempt to make a human being vanish, to turn a person into a problem to be sealed away and forgotten. But Sherron Turner was not forgotten. A worried welfare check brought her back into the light. A court held the man responsible to account. And her name is spoken now, not as a secret buried under a floor, but as a person who mattered. Sherron Turner was 44 years old. She saw the danger she was in, and she was brave enough to name it and ask for help. She deserved to have that be enough. She deserved to be protected, and to grow old, and to be safe in her own home. She was denied all of that by the person who was supposed to care for her. But in the end, she was found, and she was named, and the man who took her life was made to answer for it, in full, in open court. If there is anything to carry away from Sherron's story, it is this. The warning signs in these cases are real, and they are often seen. Taking them seriously, listening to the people who say they are afraid, and refusing to look away, is sometimes the only thing that stands between a life and a tragedy.